Hey, what's up? It's another episode of Watch Your Strappin. These are not watch reviews. They're just quick wristwatch check of the day with strap of choice, like an aftermarket strap of choice. And just to show the pairing, give some people some ideas of what certain watches look like on other strap options. Just generally to do it for fun. Today I am back on my Grand Seiko SBGX015. This is a really great diver with a 9F quartz movement. I believe it's a 9F46. No. I better check the, the number on this. But it's a 9F quartz movement. Well, actually, I should say down here. Let's see if I can even zoom up that close. Whoops. Temperature got knocked out. Okay. Hang on a second. See if I can get in there. I can't even read it with my eyes right now. But anyways, yeah, it's a great watch. Really enjoying it, and the bracelet is great. It's of course what I would say adequate. I think most people will agree that probably the one area that Grand Seiko is maybe lacking in is just fully refining and improving, I guess, as well, their bracelet and clasp. Doesn't quite meet up with what's going on the watch head and on the dial usually, and what's inside. It works. It's just that it could definitely use some improvements. For that matter, the one that it comes with is a very basic oyster style, which is fine. I kind of like this as a fairly straightforward tool watch, and I don't think you can get much more tooly than one that has that's just on a stainless steel oyster style bracelet, and that's fine. And the class is actually pretty good for what it is. It's a Marine Master, 300-meter style of class system, where it has like you pull out the fold over part, and you pull it out enough, it'll release the diver extension, and you can really get that open without taking off the wrist, which is pretty cool. And then you can just ratchet it down just to get to the best new fit for your wrist, and it works. But I don't know, something about that seems like it could be still made even better, but I think it works for the scale and purpose of this watch. This is really a cool, just straight up dive tool watch, and it's kind of cool to have something like from Grand Seiko in that category, which most people, I would say, don't really consider or think about when they think of Grand Seiko. A lot of hype is built around the fancy range of dials, which are very lovely, and all the super high polished and fine detail work on the dial, and especially on the case with the Zaracha finishing and all that. And most of that is catered towards basically dress watch category, which is fine. They're really great for that. But I wanted to do something that's maybe less popular, I suppose, less mainstream. I would say the finishing is pretty good. It's not thing that really super showcases the full potential of what they can do with the Zaracha polishing and sculpting and shaping. I mean, I would say this case is fairly standard in a lot of sense. There's not a lot of complexity about it, let's say, compared to some other cases. And there's not any there's not really any texturing to the dial, really, other than like maybe a very, very fine one. It's basically like an opaline dial, so it may catch a bit of silver in some lights, but for the most part, I say 95% of the time you see this, you'll basically see this as a white dial. But the handsets are really nicely finished, cleanly cut, straight, it's all flat, which they're kind of known for, a nice clean flat cut brush across the surface, and the indexes are applied, and they're nicely finished and polished and all that. But yeah, I just like the fact that this could be such a very tooly watch, a very full size one at a pretty much, it's just under 43, but it's basically practically a 43. It's like 42.6 or 7 or 5, somewhere around there, depending on how you measure it. But it basically should be more or less considered a 43, much like a SKX is actually around that size, but its dimensions and case sculpt are different. And you know, you got drill lug holes, which lends itself to swapping off with the stock bracelet. I mean, the stock bracelet is nice and actually kind of beefy, and it works for this watch. It actually helps balance everything out really nicely, and so I don't mind it. It just works as a really cool tool watch, but two-die watch. And being 9F, it's going to be super accurate, and it is. I don't think over the past 2, maybe 3 months almost by now, it's not gained or lost anything. So it's holding at 0 basically. And anyways, going to the strap, I've been babbling on about this watch head enough. Yeah, this is basically a brown kind of semi-distressed vintage style of you know, leather strap. It's German made. It's from I believe it's from Fluco, if I'm not mistaken, and they're pretty good. I mean, you know, German straps, and they have really good affordable prices too, and I'm pretty pleased with the quality of it. Luckily, the way this is stitched, I would say, you know, the Grand Seiko spring bars in this release, the divers, are basically the same as what you would use on the Prospects line. You know, the jumbo fat spring bars, and not only are the spring bars themselves fat, but you know, the ends, the little tips that go into the lug holes, they're actually a little bit fatter too. So the holes for these are a little bit larger than normal. So though I could just put on almost any other strap that has standard spring bars, they may sit a little bit loose in there, and I kind of don't like that. And also I think that having there's a possibility it could be less secure. Well, it probably is less secure because of that, but it'll probably hold. But more so, I think that when you got like a smaller piece of metal kind of jangling around inside the lug holes, and you're wearing it and all that, and it's under some bit of stress, right, wrapped around your hand and wrist and whatever you're doing, it's going to rub and move in that hole a bit, and that could wear the hole out potentially, and I don't like the idea of that. So this strap excuse me, normally comes with the standard spring bars, but because the way it's designed, it's kind of double stitched at the top, the opening or the channel or whatever that runs through the ends of the strap that allows it to hold the spring bars is a little bit more forgiving. It's actually kind of, I can't show it to you right now, but it's not super tight and closed off. Like a lot of straps are cut and have a hole that pass through it that have a specific diameter, right? And so if you use standard spring bars, they'll only be able to fit that through there most likely. Otherwise, if you try to fit a jumbo, you know, Seiko diver style of spring bars, it'll stretch it out, and you may not even be able to even fit it through there because it's so down tight. But this has that bit of give just enough, and so I was able to swap out the standard spring bars for I have a extra set of the jumbo ones for Seiko divers, and they have the proper thicker ends or tips to fit into to match the holes for the, you know, the lug holes. And I got it on this, and so that's what's going on here. And it doesn't stretch out the leather really too much. At least this is a design that can accommodate that. And I would say if it was just a regular, you know, didn't have this double stitch, the way it's open at the end, and also if maybe it's, you know, your standard, like maybe contrasting stitching going down the length of the strap. Basically, if it isn't this style where it could potentially be more split open towards the spring bar ends, you probably won't be able to modify or get jumbo spring bars into this, you know, into such a strap. This one does accommodate that, and I gave it a try, and it looks great. Yeah, some people say have this thing, which I think is weird, about not having a diver watch, a proper diver watch on a whatchamacallit, on a leather strap. But you know, I think they look great on leather straps, divers. And really, I mean, come on, all you gotta do is, you're gonna know if you're gonna be in any situations probably that's gonna get the watch and you very wet. Just swap out the strap accordingly. You know, if I know it's gonna rain, I'm not gonna wear this out probably, unless I know I'm gonna be in pretty good cover to not, you know, mess up the leather. Otherwise I switch, you know, NATO, a rubber strap, back onto the bracelet, right? Simple, easy done. And especially it's got these lug holes here. It'll be a easy matter to resolve. Anyways, a little bit longer than I wanted, but I really am enjoying this watch. It is on the larger side of what I normally wear. I think most of these days are about maybe max 41 down to 39-ish. Yeah, right around there. That's my sweet zone. But it's all right, I think, to push a little bit larger size where appropriate. And this, I think, is appropriate because it really is a fantastic tool dive watch. And as such, you know, something really robust and something very legible. It doesn't, I think it works to be on the larger side. And they do a great job of sculpting the case. I mean, it's very comfortable. It's definitely has its heft, and surprisingly, since it's quartz, but I think that they're handmade, hand assembled. The quality quartz movement, that if you know anything about the 9F quartz movement, you know, they're really excellently made. I think there's, I believe, it looks like gold, but I believe it's probably a lot of brass that's part of the construction of the quartz movement inside. And that just adds to some heft. It actually feels heavier than some of my mechanicals, but it's very solid. And I think it works. It's just, hold on a second. I just want to pull my sleeve back a little bit so you can see just running down. My wrist is about 7 inches, maybe just under that. And you can tell from the top, it doesn't, this case doesn't exceed the width of my wrist or circumference of it. It just doesn't like overhang at all. And it just comes down nicely, and there's no gap. And this applies with the bracelet as well. No problem there. Even though it does have male end links, they curve down really well, so there's no, you know, even though you might find that the lug to lug effectively with the male end links is a little bit seemingly on the larger side, because they curve down so well, that's not really an issue. You know, if it came out more straight, yeah, it would. But you know, this just fits really well. And I don't have the largest wrist, and I think you could go on a smaller wrist too. I know people with smaller wrists, like 6.5 even, have worn Grand Seiko divers just fine. At least they enjoy it, and it's okay. I mean, it's supposed to be a modern, very robust and bold tool watch, in my opinion. And out of all the Grand Seiko divers, as far as I can tell, I've looked throughout the catalog and checked all the specs, this still is the smallest one. 42.5 or so, more or less. Again, depends on when you measure it. Everything else has been at least a millimeter larger, and like 43 something or 45 and up for the Grand Seiko divers. And so as far as I can tell, this is one of the smallest ones, at least size-wise, and also it's not that thick either. I don't have the measurements off the top of my head. I think I measured it during my unboxing, so check that out. Otherwise, I'll try to remeasure it and keep that figure in my head for future reference if I have to talk about that real briefly. But yeah, this thing doesn't miss a beat, and I think it looks great on the strap today. I'm just on my weekend, chilling, so there we go. Anyways, thanks for watching, and enjoy your watches.